Picture the CAT 745C rolling out of Decatur, Illinois. Now scale it up. Way up, 4,000 horsepower, 400 short tons of payload, a mechanical drivetrain that has hauled copper, iron ore, oil sands, and gold for over 20 years without flinching. The CAT 797F, the machine that defined ultra-class mining haulage from the Pilbara of Western Australia all the way to the copper pits of Arizona. For 2 decades, if you ran an ultra-class fleet, that machine, or its predecessor, the 797B, was the rule, the benchmark, the yellow standard. But right now, in the Pilbara, 300 Komatsu trucks are running without drivers. No cab occupants, no shift changes, no coffee breaks. 300 autonomous haul trucks moving iron ore around the clock, owned by Rio Tinto. And not one of them is wearing cat yellow. If you've been around yellow iron long enough, you remember when nobody questioned Caterpillar's grip on the Ultra class. Komatsu was the green competitor, strong in dozers, strong in excavators, but the 400-ton trucks belonged to Decatur. That ended quietly. It didn't end with a press release or a flashy product launch. It ended with 30 years of patient engineering, one acquisition that nobody outside the industry talked about, and a manufacturing decision that should have set off alarms inside Caterpillar's boardroom. Today we're going to walk through exactly how Komatsu pulled this off, what the spec sheets actually show, and why CAT now finds itself answering questions instead of asking them. If you want to know what's actually happening inside these mining contracts, the deals, the fleet decisions, the engineering trade-offs the press releases never mention, subscribe, because we cover this every single week. Let's go back to the 797F first, because you can't understand why Komatsu won without understanding what they were beating. The CAT 797F runs a mechanical drivetrain. That means engine to torque converter to planetary transmission to final drives. It's the same architecture, scaled up, that you'd find on any large CAT haul truck going back decades. Over 4,000 horsepower, payload class around 400 short tons, built in Decatur, Illinois. Mechanical drive has real advantages. It's familiar to mechanics who've been turning wrenches on CAT iron their whole careers. Parts ecosystem is enormous. The transmission is a known quantity. Our rebuild intervals are well understood. Operators love the predictable feel. The 797 became the symbol of American ultra-class manufacturing. When you saw aerial photos of the Bingham Canyon copper mine in Utah, or the iron ore operations in the Pilbara, you saw rows of yellow 797s. They were everywhere. They still are, on a lot of sites. And CAT sold them on a simple promise. Mechanical drive is reliable. Mechanical drive is what we know. Mechanical drive is the truck for the Ultra class. Then Komatsu did something different. They went diesel-electric, a C drive. The Komatsu 930E. Here are the numbers. 2,700 horsepower, 320 short tons of payload, Komatsu SSDA 16V160 engine driving a generator. The generator feeds AC traction motors mounted in the rear wheel hubs. No mechanical transmission, no torque converter, no drive shafts running the length of the truck, just electricity moving from the engine to the wheels. That truck launched in May of 1995 at the Morenci copper mine in Arizona. By September of 2016, Komatsu had sold over 1,900 of them. 1,900 ultra-class trucks. That's not a niche product. That's a market shift. And here's the part Caterpillar never really had a clean answer for. Diesel-electric AC drive does things mechanical drive can't. A regenerative braking, continuous tractive effort, better grade performance on long hauls, less heat in the drivetrain on retarder cycles, easier integration with autonomous control systems, because you're commanding electric motors digitally instead of mechanically modulating a transmission. The fleet managers who run these trucks day in and day out, in the Pilbara, in Chile, in northern Canada, started to notice the difference in cycle times. They noticed the difference in maintenance costs. They noticed the difference in operator complaints, which dropped because the truck just felt smoother on the haul road. Then Komatsu launched the 960E-1 in 2008. 3,500 horsepower, V18 engine, 360 short tons of payload. They moved up into the same payload neighborhood as the 797, and they did it with the same diesel-electric AC drive philosophy. Now CAT had a real problem. Komatsu wasn't just selling a smaller alternative. They were challenging the 797 directly in the same payload class, with a fundamentally different and arguably better drivetrain. Now let's talk about where Komatsu builds these trucks. This is the detail that should have set off every alarm inside CAT headquarters. Komatsu 930E haul trucks are manufactured in Peoria, Illinois. Peoria, Caterpillar's hometown, CAT's largest manufacturing footprint in the United States, the city that is synonymous with yellow iron. The Komatsu plant in Peoria is the former Dresser Haulpak facility. Komatsu acquired it years ago through their joint venture history with Dresser, and they've been building world-class diesel-electric haul trucks there ever since, inside Cat's hometown. Think about what that means operationally. Komatsu can recruit the same engineering talent. They can pull from the same supplier base. They can hire mechanics and welders and electricians who grew up on cat iron and know how to build heavy equipment to mining tolerances. And every truck that rolls out of that Peoria plant is a green truck rolling out of a city that built its identity on yellow trucks. That is not a coincidence. That is a strategic decision Komatsu made decades ago and has been quietly compounding ever since. Meanwhile, what did Cat do with Peoria? Caterpillar moved its global headquarters out of Peoria in 2017, first to Deerfield, Illinois, then in 2022 to Irving, Texas. The headquarters is in Texas now. The manufacturing footprint in Illinois still employs approximately 17,400 workers, which is real, and Decatur still builds the 797, which is real. But the symbolism matters. Cat moved its corporate brain out of Peoria. Komatsu kept building haul trucks there. Operators notice these things. Mining executives notice these things. When you're signing a $500 million fleet purchase agreement, you think about who's actually committed to the long haul. Now let's talk about the Pilbara, because this is where Komatsu's strategy turned from competitive to dominant. Rio Tinto, the Pilbara region of Western Australia. Iron ore, the richest, most operationally intense haul truck environment on the planet. Rio Tinto and Komatsu started trialing autonomous haulage back in 2008. Not last year, not 5 years ago. 2008, almost 20 years of partnership. As of August 2024, Rio Tinto is running 300 autonomous Komatsu trucks across 10 Australian mine sites in the Pilbara. The fleet has moved 4.8 billion tons of material, 8.9 million operating hours. Read those numbers again. 300 trucks, 4.8 billion tons, 8.9 million hours. That isn't a pilot program. That isn't a marketing demonstration. That is the largest functioning autonomous mining fleet in the world, and it runs on Komatsu iron. Every cycle of every truck in that fleet is a data point that Komatsu now owns and Cat doesn't. Every breakdown, every component swap, every haul road performance metric, every interaction between an autonomous truck and a loading shovel, Komatsu has the data. Cat is on the outside of that knowledge base, and it gets worse for Cat. BHP, any of the other giant of Australian iron ore mining, opened the South Flank operation in Western Australia and put 42 Komatsu 930E-5 haul trucks on the ground there. 42 ultra-class trucks at one site, all Komatsu. South Flank is one of the largest new iron ore developments of the past decade, and BHP went green. That tells you where the major iron ore producers are placing their long-term bets. Now this is the point where some of you are going to bring up Fortescue. Yes, Fortescue made a massive haul truck commitment in September of 2024, 475 machines, $2.8 billion US. But that was a Liebherr deal, not a Komatsu deal. Liebherr is a separate story, a separate engineering philosophy, and we'll cover that one another week. The point for today is that even Liebherr getting that contract tells you something important about where Cat stands in the Pilbara. The biggest haul truck contract of the year went to a European competitor, not to Caterpillar. The market has decided that Cat is no longer the default answer for ultra-class haulage in the most demanding mining region on Earth. Let's talk about the Joy Global acquisition, because this is where Komatsu's ambitions stopped being about trucks and started being about owning the entire mining flow. In 2017, Komatsu paid $3.7 billion US for Joy Global. That deal gave Komatsu underground hard rock mining capability, longwall systems, continuous miners, roof bolters, the whole underground product line. Komatsu was already strong in surface mining. With Joy Global, they became the only manufacturer on Earth that could equip a surface mine, an underground mine, and the haul fleet that connects them with a single integrated supplier relationship. Cat does have underground mining products. They have continuous miners. They have longwall systems. But the scale and the depth of the Joy Global product line is on a different level, and Komatsu now controls it. When a mining company is planning a 30-year asset, they think about supplier consolidation. They think about parts logistics across multiple product categories. They think about training their mechanics on as few proprietary systems as possible. Komatsu can now walk into a procurement meeting and offer the surface fleet, the underground fleet, the loading shovels, the haul trucks, and the autonomous control system, all from one company. That is a competitive moat that took decades and billions of dollars to build, and it's built now. Speaking of loading shovels, let's talk about the PC3000. Komatsu acquired the former Demag mining shovel line years ago. The Komatsu PC3000 is essentially an upgraded version of the Dameg H185. Over 200 units have been built under both the Dameg and Komatsu names combined. That's a serious installed base of large hydraulic shovels feeding the haul trucks Komatsu also builds. Again, it's the same pattern. Komatsu is buying or building the entire mining ecosystem, and they're integrating it. Now let's look at the financials, because this is where you really see what's happening. Komatsu's fiscal 2024 revenue was approximately $34 billion US. About 80% of that revenue was generated outside Japan. So Komatsu is not a Japanese company that happens to export. Komatsu is a global mining and construction equipment company that happens to be headquartered in Japan. They build trucks in Peoria. They sell them to Rio Tinto in Australia. They acquire shovel lines from Germany. They buy underground mining companies in the United States. The Japanese flag is on the corporate masthead, but the operations are everywhere. Caterpillar's 2025 revenue was approximately $58 billion US annually. So CAT is still bigger, significantly bigger. But CAT's revenue base is much more diversified across construction equipment, engines, financial services, and other segments. When you isolate just mining haulage, just ultra-class trucks, in just the AC drive autonomous segment that the Pilbara has decided is the future, Komatsu is not just competitive. Komatsu is leading, and the leadership is compounding. Every autonomous truck cycle in the Pilbara generates training data for the next generation of Komatsu's autonomous control system. Every mechanic that gets certified on the 930E in Western Australia is one more technician who knows green iron and not yellow iron. Every spare parts order, every component rebuild, every operator hour builds Komatsu's institutional knowledge of how ultra-class diesel-electric trucks actually behave in the harshest mining conditions on Earth. CAT doesn't have that data because CAT trucks aren't running in those fleets at the same scale. Now you might ask, what about the operators? What about the mechanics? What, don't they prefer mechanical drive because it's familiar? Yes and no. The veteran mechanics who built their careers on CAT iron in the 70s and 80s absolutely have a preference for mechanical drive. They understand it. They've torn apart 1,000 torque converters. They can diagnose a planetary transmission by sound. That generation of mechanics is real, and they matter, and a lot of them work on CAT 797s today. But the next generation of mining mechanics is being trained on diesel-electric AC drive. That's what they're seeing on the new fleets. That's what they're certifying on. That's what their employers are buying. The skill base is shifting underneath the industry. In 10 years, the mechanic who knows AC drive haul trucks inside and out is going to be more valuable than the mechanic who specializes in mechanical drivetrains, because the new fleet acquisitions are going green. That's the math. And operators? In a fully autonomous fleet, the operator question changes completely. There aren't operators in those Rio Tinto trucks in the Pilbara. There are remote supervisors monitoring fleets from operations centers in Perth. The cab is empty. The seat is empty. The lunchbox is missing. So the question of operator preference goes away in a fully autonomous environment. And Komatsu's diesel-electric AC drive is fundamentally easier to integrate with autonomous control because the entire propulsion system is already commanded electronically. This is the structural reason Komatsu is winning. An AOC drive is the architecture that autonomy demands. Mechanical drive can be retrofitted with autonomous control, and CAT has done that work, but you're working against the grain of the drivetrain. With diesel-electric AC drive, you're working with the grain. The throttle command, the retarder command, the traction control command, all of it is digital from the start. That's why the Pilbara went green and stayed green. CAT is not standing still. They have autonomous truck programs. They have customers running automated fleets. They have engineering teams working on the next generation of mining haulage. CAT is still a tremendous company with deep pockets, world-class engineering, and a global dealer network that nobody can match. The CAT dealer network is frankly still the best argument for buying yellow iron. When you need a part in northern Saskatchewan or interior Mongolia, the CAT dealer can usually get it to you faster than anyone else. But the trend lines are what they are. Komatsu has the largest autonomous fleet in the world. Komatsu builds haul trucks in CAT's hometown. Komatsu has the integrated underground and surface mining product line. Komatsu has the AC drive engineering depth. And Komatsu has been compounding these advantages for 30 years, while CAT was reorganizing its corporate headquarters and rebalancing its portfolio. Here's the question that mining executives are quietly asking each other. If you're planning a new ultra-class fleet today for a 30-year mine life, with autonomous haulage from day one, what are you buying? The honest answer, increasingly, is green. Not because CAT is bad. CAT is not bad. Evo CAT is excellent. The honest answer is green because Komatsu has built the better mousetrap for the specific job that ultra-class mining haulage has become. The 797F is still a magnificent machine. 4,000 horsepower of mechanical brute force, hauling 400 tons across haul roads from Utah to Mongolia. It will keep working for decades. The installed base is enormous. The parts will be available, the mechanics will be trained. CAT is not going anywhere. But the next 1,000 ultra-class trucks ordered worldwide are not going to be majority CAT. They're going to be majority Komatsu, with Liebherr taking a meaningful share and CAT fighting for the rest. That is the new reality of the ultra-class market, and it was built one autonomous truck cycle at a time, in the Pilbara, with green iron coming out of Peoria, on our Illinois. The yellow standard isn't dead, but it's not the default anymore. The default went green, and the rest of the industry is just catching up to the news. If you want to keep tracking how the real money moves in mining, who's winning the contracts, what the spec sheets actually say, and which acquisitions are quietly reshaping the industry, subscribe right now. Because every week we go inside the deals and the iron that nobody else is covering at this depth.